allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We can remain standing and think about our men and women in the armed forces. And remembering Nellie Feith, some of us old timers remember Nellie Feith. She died last week, 103. Thanks.
Can we stand just a little longer? I was on the news that across our country, people are going to pay tribute to the victims who died in Spain, domestic violence, as well as Heather Hires and other people in Virginia who were also, Heather was killed and other people seriously hurt by a white nationalist party. It was domestic violence. Let's hope that we can reach an agreement and we don't have that anymore in our country. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. So, for everyone here and the TV audience, police hotline. Write it down. It'll remain up there. So write it down. You see something, call us. Call the police department. You don't have to leave your name. You can. You don't have to. Public comment on agenda items. All right, a couple quick reports or statements. The senior citizen, we want to clarify the change order, so as we've discussed it, Jim, how did we leave it? We want to have Fesco move the kitchen wall out.
Correct. Got it right here. So there was two change orders. One was to modify the documents for the movement of the kitchen partition. Gives a little bit more room in the bathroom areas. There's a coil door that's going to be addressed. And then there's some kitchen layout work that he's going to do. The only thing that we did not agree upon, and we're not going to have him do yet, was the selection of commercial equipment.
So if we could have a motion, I think it's number 1 and number 2. You have that all before you? We have a motion to change the work order and add 1 and 2.
I'll move it.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Ramos, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I want to read a short statement, just to clarify something from the last meeting. So I need to clarify my position regarding the beautification committee and the plans for Christmas decorating that they are discussing. My response at the last board meeting may have been misunderstood. They are responsible to provide a continuous and cohesive look to all season plantings, colored schemes, and decorating options for all gardens, beds, planters, parks, and green spaces. Their discussions are to include, but are not limited to, options for lighting and the use of fresh greens. And this is the part where maybe I went too far. They are not held to more, and maybe even more, by use of any other materials, if that does not coincide with the cohesiveness. That's the end of that, my statement. Next, I would like permission just to go out and get quotes on behalf of the beautification committee on 3 or 4 trees that are dead on Main Street and pruning. I don't know if we've ever done pruning, but there's a lot of pruning that needs to be done. And if we're going to have the kind of Christmas decorations that are being planned, we need these trees pruned and before the lights can go up. So all I'm asking for is, and also, let me just add one more thing, some electrical outlets that'll go mainly, if not totally, where the antique lights are. Some sockets. So, this is just to go out and get quotes for those two items.
Joe, does that include, like there's a dead tree in Ladycliff Park?
It includes that one.
Taking it down?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it includes that one. And there's a couple at the north end, and there's one down by the entrance.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of pruning if you, and I've been looking lately, and it's ironic, but a large branch totaled a car last week. And it was not on the list to be pruned, and yet it fell. So, can I have a motion to just go out and get quotes?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And I'll obviously report that. So let's go back to this. New business. We have minutes before us from August the 7th, 2017, a regular meeting, and then we had a special meeting on August 17th, 2017. You have those before you. Is there a motion to accept the minutes? Hey Pat, take your hat off. You're not gonna take your hat off?
I don't.
Why? You're in a public place, it's a meeting.
Called
You
respect.
should know that.
When I was 12.
I'm asking you to take your hat off. Yes or no? No? No, okay. Thank you, sir. Minutes, can we approve them?
Make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the appointment of Christina Stradley to be the full-time account clerk, $20 an hour with a maximum probation. And she was picked from the civil service list. And so far, she's been doing very well.
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
I'll second
Second
that.
by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
We have an appointment to the Consolidated Planning Board. I think we received one letter from Harvey Green, who's very familiar with zoning and planning. So to get him on the board, the motion.
I'll make the motion that Harvey Green, who has served loyally as a member of the planning board in the past, be appointed to the consolidated board.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Just real quick, so I believe everyone should know, I think that was to fill the vacant position, correct? I just didn't see that in here, was it in here? Just so we all know, it's to,
It is to
fill
fill
the
a
vacant-
vacancy. that-
okay,
In fact,
because I believe the village gets the next pick also. But we should look at the IMA on that to double check.
All right, the motion was carried. Next is the event, Mayor's Back to School Barbecue Picnic at Rural Park on September 2, 2017 at noon to 3 p.m. You have the, I think they have the event, let's see. The event form before you. The insurance is by the village, and I hope a lot of people come. It's open to all age children. Again, it's going to be on Saturday, September 2, at noon to 3. We're going to have a lot of games, music. I hope you guys can come by, and food. I have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is something that's, the clerk has given us a while back to approve the credit card policy. If you're ready for that tonight.
If we've got time for discussion,
Yeah.
the only area that I question is, no prior authorization is required unless it exceeds $1,000. Gina, is that sort of the standard, or is that on the high side?
No, that's the standard, that's part of our purchasing policy.
Has it been that, Gina?
It may have changed, but it's 1,000 now, it is part of our purchasing policy. The numbers come from that.
I just wanted to make sure it was the generally accepted figure.
Look, I don't think there's an emergency here, so if you want to table it, but it would definitely be put on next agenda. But we can take care of it now, too.
I'll make the motion that we accept it.
Motion by trustee Murphy that the credit card policy before us is adopted. Do I have a second?
Joe, can I just, it's the policy that we've had in effect, but it's always a document that can be changed. So if the board wants to just move forward with what we've had, so we can get the department heads to do the forms that they're supposed to. If you review it and you find any changes, we can always bring it back to another meeting to make those changes in the policy.
Do I need to change my motion to just keep what is currently in effect?
Yeah, that's what I would ask you to approve, if you're ready to do that, just so I can move forward with department heads and getting the authorization for people, so we can use the card now if needed, if something comes up and they need to use it. But if you find, after you've reviewed it enough, we have
I'll
major changes.
rescind my motion and change it to,
What she said.
to continuing with the current procedure and policy.
Is that okay, Jan?
I would appreciate that if the board could make that decision tonight, but if you, after reviewing it, find you have any big changes,
Sure.
certainly bring it back to us
Sure.
and we'll look at it.
Sure. That's great. So there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's some transfer of funds, $1,800 for the A 3120.0200 police equipment, and put it in the A .1680.0400 to IT contractual. So I can do these one at a time or all together. I'll do them one at a time. Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
It's kind of hard to run a department without computers, I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Abbott, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Transfer $10,000 from the general fund to workman's compensation.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Transfer $1,931.25 from the general fund to Green City Commercial Bank, interest due 9/1 on serial bonds.
Motion to move it to Green County Community Bank or Commercial Bank?
I probably said community, but I bet it's commercial. It's written, is it commercial, Gina, or,
I'm not sure.
yeah,
Well,
okay.
Green County
It's
Bank.
Green County.
The Green County Bank. All right, Is that, did you, I'm
That's a
sorry.
motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second? Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution, I have a resolution here for final notice and termination of services for unpaid water bills for May 2017. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls has 151 delinquent water accounts in the amount of $38,448.34 remaining unpaid, including late fees from May 2017 water billing. Now therefore be it resolved that the clerk notify all delinquent water customers that unless payment is made before 4 p.m. on Tuesday, September 12, 2017, water service will be terminated. Be it further resolved that if any service is terminated, a reconnect fee of $75 will be charged to restore service. May I have a motion and a second to adopt?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I second.
Second by trustee Ramus. Roll call.
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Donofrio.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next we have property maintenance, which I'll open at 7:18 for public hearing. And is there anyone present representing or owner of the property at 138 Merns? I see the homeowners lives in Virginia. I guess they forgot to cut the grass up here. So it's for overgrown yard. Any comments? Anyone here? Close the public hearing. Whereas a long-standing violation of the Village Property Maintenance Law, Chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls has existed at 138 Merns, designated as on tax map 105-1-18. And whereas the property owner or owners have been given due notice of said violations and have been directed to correct the violations. And whereas the property owner or owners were given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on August 21, 2017 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order the corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violations of property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner and to levy same against the property. And whereas a public hearing was held by the Board of Trustees on August 21, 2017, and whereas the owner did or owners did not appear, and whereas the owner or owners have not taken steps to correct the violation and the violation still exists. And whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to Section 170-6 of the Property Maintenance Law to authorize that the village undertake the remedy such violations at the property owner's expense. Now therefore be it resolved that the village, its contractors, or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the violations of, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to his tax bill, to the tax bill of the property owner, if not paid within 30 days of notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax records. So we need a motion.
Is this the first time?
It's like his third time, man.
That number looks familiar. We
He's
have a lot of
he's
repeaters.
repeat.
Did we agree that when they repeat, we jack up the price?
We have to adopt the code, we have to address the code, which we're working on.
Yeah, and the tools for escalating are there, so we can impose higher fines.
So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Ramus, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I have bills and claims for the fiscal year 17-18, $96,782.74. So you're reviewing the bills, so is there a motion to pay? Motion to pay the bills? Need two people.
I'll
It's an
second.
easy one.
I'll second.
I need a first.
Well, I'll make a motion. I thought you
All
were
right,
doing a
no.
motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second? Pay bills.
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Chief, fire department, so, I see you're going out for an RFP on a self-contained breathing apparatus?
Yeah, we're not required to do so because the equipment is available on state bid, but we believe we could save some money if we get a competitive bid. And we want to outline how the project's done, so by an RFP, we can do that. Fort Montgomery's buying is coming at the same time, so we're trying to leverage the size of the order to assist both entities. And operationally, have everything compatible. So, I just sent it for your information. Obviously, when we get those bids, we'll, review them and give you guys a recommendation of how we, would recommend proceed.
Maybe we could schedule between now and winter, for the board to come down and look at everything and show us around down there.
Sure.
Show us the equipment. I mean, we see the trucks, but, okay?
Yeah, I enjoy it,
Mr. Jones, wastewater treatment plant, you have something about the phone?
Yeah, we're getting a cable run from,
Well, come over here, John, I'm sorry. I should have had Eric do that, I forgot.
Time Warner's hooking up the cable so we can have a phone line at the wet lane pump station. And the phone line's not costing us anything. The only thing we're gonna pay for is the emergency dialer when we get it, but it's minimal. And we'll pay to get it hooked up, but everything else, Time Warner's taking care of. That way, if something happens down there right now, we're depending on the neighbors to tell us. So it'll dial out to the police station and let us know there's something going on there.
As one of the neighbors down there, how do we know if something is going
There's
on?
an alarm. You're not gonna hear it where you are. Usually Richie Perry calls. But he was away the last time and we had a little bit of an issue, so we're putting, Time Warner's gonna run this line. We thought it was gonna cost money, but it's not gonna cost us anything.
So this will correct that.
Yep.
Oh, that's needed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, public comment.
Hoping I can access this, but due to Kat Dagayev, village resident, in the newspaper, the News of the Highlands, there was an article, which you stated that,
Wait a minute, who's you?
Mr. Johnson, you stated that the police department and the don't remember the exact date, in the beginning of September, would all be doing their training for the use of Narcan. Okay, so I foiled and got a response, which I can't get right now because there's no Wi-Fi, that in fact the officers were certified, so are they or aren't they?
If I recall my paperwork, which I have downstairs, I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think 13 are. I saw on Facebook one time, there was one, so I inquired. So one was definitely incorrect, and I think there's 13, but does anyone here from the police department know that?
The number was high, it's over 50% for sure.
Yeah.
I know the chief is working all the numbers.
Yeah.
The majority of the people that I know were already qualified. The ones that weren't, it was definitely being tackled and handled for the training.
So,
We have to speed.
so
I
I'm
know
not su-
since this report has come out, we have actually administered Narcan. It's available with all of our AED kits and all the cars.
I'm not sure if you,
I
is
just
there a
wanted to make
question?
sure that what I got on the FOIL request was correct, that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you.
It should be noted that the school provided a training session, and at least 5 members of Rotary and a number of people from the school also took the course, and we were all issued a kit. So there are people in the community that are armed and ready to take action if someone does overdose.
Good. Mr. Allen? Is there any, okay. Oh, one second. Go ahead.
Pat Flynn, Muller Avenue. I know that we're still dealing with the issue of the chief's contract. There has been some information put out to the public. I just want to make sure that the public is aware that the charges that were drawn up were ready to be proceeded during the hearing. Approximately 10 o'clock the night before, I received a phone call that Chief Scott's lawyer wanted a deal. So there is some confusion out in the public that the village board wanted a deal. We did not. The charges were drawn up, we were ready to move forward on the hearing, and that was our plan. There was a request for a meeting prior to the hearing, and the hearing officer suggested that we do the meeting. We did the meeting, and it was agreed upon by both sides because this was not something against Chief Scott. It was an issue that there were issues with him running the department. It wasn't something where anyone was angry with him or anything like that. So we were looking after his pension. To do that, we granted the extension to August to make sure that as a consultant, he would continue to serve on the police department until August when he got his 20 years in. That was agreed upon by Ken Scott. And that needs to be known that if going forward with the hearing, more than likely, there would have been firing. We chose not to. We chose Ken as a member of the community, and we chose to look after his pension. But we also have to look after the village. We have to look after what's best for the village. When we brought the temporary chief in, he made a lot of excellent improvements to the force. I just feel that the community needs to know that it wasn't the board's decision to make the deal. The board was following through on something that they decided on, and actually that wouldn't have been actually even decided until after the charges were heard and there was discussion. But in social media and out in the public, it's out there quite a bit that the board wanted a deal. The board was in no way did we want a deal, In no way were we afraid. We put those charges up because they happened. And if we don't have accountability in this community, we will not get the standards that we are looking for and the standards that we are paying for in our taxes.
Is there anyone else? Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of elderlies in this town, and they're all tired of hearing this nonsense with the chief. This board voted on bringing him back. I do believe we ought to stand up as men and say, bring him back. These officers down here, how does that make them feel when you're pushing your man around? These people are tired of the taxpayers' money being wasted on the same nonsense over and over. It's very sad.
Thank you.
Excuse
So a
me.
gentleman
Right,
can't
if
take his hat off and
Could
show
you
respect to the
Could you
board.
state your name, please? for the-
Jim Lenny.
Yes.
Nobody's pushing, Mark Elwood, Highland Falls, no one's pushing the chief around. The chief, nice man that he is, now consultant, did not keep the village safe by some of the judgments against him, which were only on social media, and I was told 2 meetings ago that's where I should find this information. Nobody's saying he's not a nice guy. I think the fact that a deal was worked out, that the man got to keep his pension is enough. He can go on now, maybe get a job in security or something. We need somebody who can do the job even better. Nothing is against the man, and we gotta stop talking that way and stop thinking you're gonna bring somebody back who has agreed to an irrevocable, and no matter how you slice that word, it means irrevocable. He signed a letter of resignation. I agree, let's stop the nonsense, but let's get the village to have the protection it needs. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. Is there anything else? Okay.
Bernard Farmer, Highland Falls. In early February 2017, the village of Highland Falls and
Face the camera, 'cause they can't hear you.
in early February 2017, the village of Highland Falls and former Chief Ken Scott agreed to submit to a voluntary and irrevocable letter of retirement, effective August 30th, 2017. Ken Scott accepted the settlement after he was served by the village with 10 charges of misconduct and incompetence under Section 75 of the New York State Civil Service Law. By accepting the settlement, Ken Scott waived his right to further challenge the charges. As an active and concerned village resident, I must say that if former Chief Scott accepted this deal in order to not receive any punitive action for the 10 charges of misconduct and incompetence, that means he was likely but not necessarily guilty of the charges. Mr. Scott took the deal, since Mr. Scott took the deal, it suggests that the person with average intellect, that there was a chance he was guilty of the offenses. I believe Mr. Scott took the deal because there was a very real chance he was going to end up with nothing by way of retirement and or employment. Let's ask ourselves, does the village of Highland Falls need, or should we be left out, to put our faith in the highest ranking law enforcement official that has a veil of wrongdoing hovering over his office? He took a lawful and binding deal to retire on August 30th. Anyone that says he should be reinstated is turning a blind eye to scandal and the potential that he is responsible for participating in or concealing wrongdoing. That's absolutely not what our top cop is supposed to be made of. I strongly urge and request the board to vote nay in reinstating Ken Scott as our chief of police.
Thank you for your opinion. Is there anyone else? Yeah.
Eric Smith, Lake Street, making this statement as a resident of the village of Highland Falls, not in any other position. I've known Ken for a long time. I've served as the fire chief for quite a few times. There's a lot of similarities in those jobs where there are so many regulations and things, and you live in a world where you have to do the best you can do with the funding you receive. It's my opinion that Ken was doing that the best he could do based on the funding he received. Work together, he's a professional. At times we've disagreed, but it's only because we're looking to do the best job for the citizens and for the people that work for him. In no time would he ever, village resident here, vested interest, would he ever put his people in danger or anything like that. He's never was a guy who tooted his own horn, but plenty of times I'd see him, be with him in the middle of the night, doing the best for the village. I implore the board to keep a homegrown, professional police chief that lives here as our police chief. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Guy. I'm speaking against Kenny Scott because on many occasions I've called the police due to different incidences that happened around my house. Drug deals, prostitution in the motels, people that are living there constantly that are supposed to be there only temporarily, have lived there for years. They've taken in the drug addicts out of drug rehabilitation centers, and these people are living in our neighborhoods, constantly walking up and down through neighborhoods, going to my mailbox, called the police, don't seem to want to do anything about it. Police have caught people smoking crack and pot, confiscated their pipes, turned around, and no charges were brought against them. They were dropped. They told me when I foiled the information that there wasn't enough evidence in the pipe to have the person arrested. If DNA can be used to arrest somebody, then so can a crack pipe when the man stands there telling the police that yes, he was smoking. And I have it all on video. Showed the video to the police. Showed the video to Mayor Flynn. Police wouldn't do anything about it because they had no loyalty to Pat Flynn. So now all of a sudden, the police want to start doing something and start saying that they are good and these people are here to support Kenny. I haven't seen it. I've known Kenny for a long, long time. I'm disappointed how he has been acting for the time that he's been police in this town, especially referring to my own personal issues with these druggies in my neighborhood. I'm disgusted by it. As far as Mr. Ramos, standing up here saying that he could make, take a vote and that he would, he has no problem doing it, he can do it without any kind of moral issue or ethical issue, he's wrong because the ethics department is now looking into it, that he did not revoke or recuse himself from that vote. And I want the town to know that. The ethics committee is looking into this town and other committees are looking at this town and laughing at the ignorance of these people in this town standing for this kind of nonsense. For this man to sit here and say that he can make this vote and there being, it's a financial issue that benefits his brother-in-law. That's all kinds of state laws that that's against. It's clear and it's in black and white. So I think that you people who are standing here praising this board and praising Kenny Scott need to do a little bit more research on what's been really going on in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, sir.
Okay. How you all doing? My name's Dan Zinn. I just have a question to the board. At the time of this arbitration that Kenny went through, if the arbitrator ruled in his favor, would the board still have the opportunity to dismiss him?
I was told yes.
Okay.
If the arbitrator found in the chief's favor, the village board, a majority of the village board could say the opposite.
Okay, so in actuality, they held a political gun to Kenny's head. And he had the opportunity to retain his benefits or lose them all. So I don't think it was a willful decision on Kenny's part. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. If there's nothing, yes.
Can I speak?
No, yes.
Dr. Jones, Tyler Falls. I just have a question. They keep bringing this up that by trustee Ramus voting to reinstate Chief Scott, that would benefit the chief financially? Doesn't it take 3 votes?
From the village board?
I mean, he couldn't just say, let's give Chief Scott a raise without at least 2 more votes up there on the board, correct?
Yeah, that's at budget time and raises.
Right, so by him voting yes to bring back Chief Scott does not benefit the chief financially. I think the whole board to vote on this, not just trustee Raines.
Jim?
Jim Kilo, Mountain Avenue Village. The opinion of my family and most of my relatives in this village is that Ken Scott is the best chief that we've ever had. So I want to give you an example of what I think is good police for a community like ours. My aunt had gone away with my cousin to Long Island, and there was a number of pieces of mail put in her mailbox on Plates Avenue. The mail carrier notified the police that the mailbox was getting full of mail, and he was concerned that there may be an issue there. The officer, thank God, knew of my aunt. That's another reason why it's important to have a full-time police force. Went to the door, knocked, no one answered. I'm sure he went back down to Chief Scott and requested or told Chief Scott that there was nobody available at the home. Chief Scott quickly called a few people. I think he called Mayor D'Onofrio. Chief Scott had my telephone number, my cell phone. He called my cell phone, and I told me that he wanted to make sure that there was no issue with my aunt. I called my cousin, and she had told me that they were on Long Island for that week. So I think a small village like this, with a chief that lives in our village, is the most important thing that we could ask for. And a chief of Ken Scott's caliber is not a gift, okay, is a gift. It's not an accident, it's a gift to this village, okay? And I don't know how 10 people in this community can sway 3,500 or 4,500 people who believe that Ken Scott is the best chief we've had. And maybe it's 4,000, okay? Anything that happens related to a decision of the safety of this community should be brought up for a vote, not 10 people who say that Ken Scott is no good. I don't understand that. So that's my opinion, and it's the opinion of my family and relatives in this community. Ken Scott is the best chief we've ever had, and we hope that this board has the strength to say that we're going to reinstate Ken Scott.
Go ahead.
Mary Ellen Olivia. I wasn't going to say anything. I've been told, don't lead the pack. But you know what, frankly, I'm disgusted. You brought in a special person to examine the charges. The charges were valid in their eyes. Board members were kind enough to allow that man to get a golden parachute, to leave with his health benefits, to leave with a pension. In my opinion, they were kinder than I would have been. I would have brought him to trial, and I would have let everybody know. I've had problems with the police department, as the board knows, using cars to take people to private places, going to the chief's house when these kids were exploding bombs, and he refused to come. Then his police officers were at my house, and then they were again called, the same kids, and he said to me later, when I'm sure these mandated meetings were made to go on, I said, I was really angry with you, and he said, and I should have gone. You should have gone, because these kids carried on again that night, and an alarm went off in a car. One person's car broke down from the debris that was put under it when these bombs went off. I don't see, a policeman comes to my house, doesn't get out of the car. All these kind of things. I don't know what you people are doing. A special person came in, and the recommendation was let him go. This is a case where kindness is rewarded in the wrong way. He's got his golden parachute, and some people never disclosed who they were related to. And then the other thing about the hats, there are some people that never took hats off in meetings. You know, we saw that. Enough is enough. We're an embarrassment to the whole of the state at this point. Get on with it. You're spending all your time. Let us move forward and make some progress. Not send us back years and years. He got his deal. It was irrevocable. Go on. In terminology that I've signed, and I've had irrevocable agreements, I can't change them. I would assume irrevocable means irrevocable. And you know, I'm tired of it. Again, move on. You may like him as a person. It's nothing to do with him as a person. It's for him to do his job at either $104,000 a year, $110,000, whatever it is. It's time for us to get somebody else, and maybe we need some new blood.
Amen to that.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. My name is Frank Wilson. I'm a property owner on York Park. Here in support of Chief Scott with a very specific request. I am a taxpayer, and you are spending my tax dollars. I came to my first meeting when you raised the subject of modifying Chief Scott's agreement, and it was passed. I am tired of you wasting my dollars on the issue. I thought it was resolved. Get it resolved, stop spending attorney fees, the Chief Scott's position, modify the agreement in accordance with the board. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. That's it, right? Okay. Yes.
I just make a comment. Jim Odland, Island Falls. It's good to be back, by the way. I've actually been missing some of these. I'm not gonna say anything about Chief Scott. I really don't know the man. I've seen him in church. I've met him on a couple of occasions. Seems like a really nice guy. My wife and I, we haven't lived here long enough to really form an opinion. There's obviously a lot of issues on both sides. But what I will talk about is perceptions. Talk about perceptions of Highland Falls. Talk about perceptions of folks who live outside of Highland Falls. Talk about a meeting, in fact, that I was in last week with representatives from the Spouses Club at West Point, who, by the way, are extremely interested in getting more involved in the local community. Part of the meeting was attended by the superintendent's wife. Part of the meeting, or not part of the meeting, one of the attendees was the superintendent's wife. Another member of the meeting was the new commandant's wife, both of which have been to numerous military installations, have been involved in numerous communities outside of military installations. Several of the ladies who spoke to us talked about perceptions of Highland Falls, talked about how some of our visitors and how some of our cadet parents who are coming in will not do business in Highland Falls. They will not stay in our hotels. They will not walk down the roads. They are coming with these perceptions before they even show up in Highland Falls. Why? Because it's not safe. Because they're afraid if they stay in a hotel room in town, they may not be able to get a good night's sleep because of a drug bust that's going to take place next door. How we got to this point, I don't know. Some of the people who were in this meeting have lived here for a number of years. Some have been former residents. How we got here, I don't know. My tenure in Highland Falls goes back to the late 70s, back again in the 80s, back again in the 90s, 2000s, and then now I've been living here with my wife for the last couple of years. A constant theme I hear is how nice it would be if it would be the way it was when I grew up. I'm looking at the quilt on the wall there, and looking at some of the pictures around the room. What I don't see are current pictures of Highland Falls. I see pictures of the way it used to be. And some of you have lived here for a long time. It's a great place to live. And we need to get it back to the way it used to be, but in a good, positive way. And so things need to be cleaned up. Things need to be turned around. Perceptions need to be changed. If the perception of the community is just the concern of the 4,000 some odd people that are in the community, then that's fine. If we expect I'm asked, and a lot of you know I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm asked, what is the Chamber of Commerce doing to get new business in? Well, if the perception of the community, if it's only important that those of us that are residents of the community, that we have a good perception of the community, then I ask the community, what are you doing about opening up a business? But if we're interested in other people coming into the community to open up a business, to do something with Main Street, then we've got to be concerned about the perceptions of others. So whatever the board does, and I do not envy the decision you all need to be making as far as Mr. Scott is concerned. Again, I don't know him, I honestly have no opinion about it. I just hope that we do the right thing, we do the right thing as a community, and whatever the decision is, that we work on perceptions, we work on cleaning things up, we work on doing the right thing, we work on those that are in office that work for the community, do their jobs, wherever the resident was from Andover Park and some of the others. I totally agree with you in terms of being a taxpayer. I want to see the biggest bang for that taxpayer buck that we can do. And it's going to be a matter of people doing their jobs and being held accountable. Sometimes it's going to require tough calls, sometimes it's not, but that's all we can ask for. And that's what we're looking for. And all of us, and I'm talking more to all of you and on the camera here, not necessarily you all, but all of us as a community need to work on this and need to do this. Because this is what's going to make this community thrive. And for those of you that would like for it to get to be the way it was that you remember, that's what it's going to take. So whatever the decision is with Mr. Scott, you know, that's what you guys get paid to do. You've heard a lot of opinions about that, but whatever happens with that, we as a community need to continue going forward with this, because this perception thing is going to be the downfall of Highland Falls. It will. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Yes.
Jim DeSalvo, Tonyville Parkway. So I appreciate what the chamber president said. I think you do a lot of good work there. I will say this. Let's talk about perception for a second. Opioid use and heroin is an epidemic, right? It's an epidemic in New York State. There's arrests being done in every town in Orange County, whether it's Warwick, Goshen, some of the most beautiful communities in this county have the same problem that the not-so-great communities have, okay? We're a working-class community. We've been that way since the 37 years I've lived here, and from what I understand from my grandparents, it's been that way since they've been here. And I appreciate that everyone makes an effort to try to make the place great. If you're walking down Main Street and you see garbage on the sidewalk, pick it up and throw it out. There's 20 receptacles on Main Street, and yet I still see trash on the ground. So, drugs are an epidemic in this county, and the county's spending millions on it, the state's spending millions on it, and it's something that's constantly being fought. But that doesn't mean the perception's gonna go away, and frankly, as a resident, if there's a drug bust, great! That means they're actually doing something. I don't have children, but my brother does, so if they're making drug busts, that's great, I want them to do that. But not everybody's perception is gonna be the same. And this is a working class community, and it probably will be going into the future, and there's nothing wrong with that. Working class folks need to live somewhere too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, when are we going to vote to settle this? Residents want to know.
Well, what are we voting on?
I got something to say.
Okay.
Reinstatement.
modification.
So what I want to say is how extremely disappointed I am with some people of this community. I grew up in this community. I've been here for 56 years. I went to all the schools here. I live a simple life. That's what I live, okay? I could walk down Main Street, go anywhere in this community. Hey Murph, everybody says hello, I say hello to everybody. I've been involved with organizations in this community. You name it, I've done it there. I have not had one enemy in this community. Not one person that I disliked. Nothing, zero, okay? I come in this board meeting a couple months ago. I came from my job up to the board meeting and found a packed room, okay? With the issue of the chief. You all knew about it, but for myself, being a trustee, I knew nothing about it, okay? The last meeting we had here, there was an agreement pulled out and put in front of me. I did not get a chance to even open it up. Not even open up that agreement. And if anyone here is in a corporate sector, you would know an agreement must be read before signed. Okay? The following day, the very next day, comments started coming out about Merv Livesey. I could give a crap about Facebook. So many friends unfriended me on Facebook, okay? I know that, and they're in here too, some of them, okay? And some of them are out there listening to me. I could give a crap about that. Comments came up to me, okay? Bashing comments about me. Because I said I want to table this because I haven't even read it yet. There's one person out of this community that I've grown up and lived here for 56 years that actually walked up to me and said, how come you said table it? And that was my father. One person. Out of all of these people in this community that have been walking around, nasty looks, blowing comments at me, unfriendly in me, and all of this, not one of you were out there could walk up to me and say, can I talk to you a second? Not one person did that to me, okay? Here we are at a meeting again tonight. My goal being on this village board is professionalism. That's what it is, whether you like it or not, okay? I could care less again. I have an agenda here. Let me ask you, the public, where do you see something about Ken Scott on here? Where do you see it? You're all here. Where do you see it? This is what I think about the agenda tonight. It's not on there. But you're all here. Does that make any sense to you? I'm not going to do anything that's not transparent with the community. Zero. Okay? It's not going to happen. If we're going to discuss Ken Scott, it's going to be a meeting where it's put on a proper agenda where the community knows. It's not going to be this here. I'd like to make an motion to adjourn this meeting.
Can I make a separate comment that goes along with my previous comment?
Go ahead.
I don't want my words to get misconstrued about Narcan. Every AED kit is equipped with Narcan. Every car on patrol has that AED with Narcan. I said all units have an AED. There's enough units while on patrol that we have said AED. So every officer on patrol is equipped with it, but not every car has it while not in operation. Just wanted to make that clarification.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Charlie, I have a motion on the, I've never seen this in 30 years. I'll say again, I've never seen this in 30 years.
You never seen this, Joe, because you're pulling this
I don't
crap.
know.
That's why.
What crap?
What crap you have? This is going on here tonight. Did any of the board know that this is gonna be on, do you see it on the agenda?
How many people?
How come you didn't put it
How
on the
many-
agenda? Why did you not put it on the agenda?
I wasn't asked to.
You weren't asked to.
Number one,
But
don't
this is all
stand there,
going on
don't
here now
stand,
tonight?
please don't stand there and yell.
No, I think people should understand what's going
Charlie,
on,
you
Joe.
have anything?
I just had a regular report about the building department.
Go ahead. You-
It's,
It's important.
We all have it, but go ahead.
Very briefly, the building department had 80 physical inspections, 8 permits were issued, 2 certificates of compliance and occupancy were issued. There were 19 building inspections. These are highlights. The building department is very, very busy. They also are concerned about the condition of certain properties. We had one, again, on the agenda tonight at 138 Mearns. Abandoned vehicles or unlicensed vehicles was discussed at the last meeting. That also is being addressed. There are, our attorney is here, there are tools that we can push the building department to use to try to get rid of those vehicles. And the mayor had asked about a road opening on West Street. The building department did not issue that permit, our highway department did. So we can take care of that.
Was that a curb cut?
No, it was a ditch out into the road to put services in.
And I believe
It
that
had,
there was
it's pretty bad.
a bond or
Yeah.
money for
Chief, if you were having a problem, unlike with the way we used to do it, no one wants to take these junk cars. So if you ever want a couple cars, you know, yeah,
I work for me on
yeah.
Gina, what do you need, 72 hours for a special meeting? Is that what it is?
It's recommended for at least that, but in the case of emergency, it could be sooner. I refer the attorney to answer.
You can have emergency meetings, you can have special meetings on 3 days' notice, you can.
So Thursday, can you have a meeting on Thursday?
I want to go back to my question. Do I need to make a motion? I make a motion that we have a vote on the issues brought up by residents regarding Ken Scott. I need a second.
I don't understand the motion, so
I'm making a motion that we vote tonight.
I'm not gonna make it.
There's nothing
You
on
don't
the
have to-
agenda.
You don't have to second it.
All right, motion, no second. I'll take the, there was a motion, to be honest with you, there was a motion on,
to adjourn.
I have one quick thing.
we're not doing this right, because you made a motion to adjourn. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I didn't get my chance.
I understand
But I
that,
can
but-
wait until the next.
No, do it now.
Because it has to do, it's piggybacking on what Mr. Modeling said, and I see the planning board chair here tonight. And things are going on in the community, and where people can actually find out new things that are going on in the community is to look to the planning board. Some people don't like what goes on, and they ask, well, how come they're doing that? Well, it went through the proper procedure of the planning process, and nobody comes to our meetings. When I was the planning board chair, we didn't see too many people come, and it's unfortunate, and I know Eric has been through the same thing. So Eric, if you could just enlighten me, and I'll let the public know, your meeting is this Thursday, or did you guys move it?
we moved to the 31st.
The 31st.
This month.
Okay, great. So, I hope you don't mind, Eric, but,
No.
there's a planning board meeting on the 31st. They put an agenda out. You can see the new things that are coming into our community, where people are trying to invest in our community. Let's get involved. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Now, there's a motion on the table to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, folks.